Hi everyone, it's Patrick again from Eramosa Engineering. In this tutorial, I'm going to talk about calculated columns. I'm going to show you what the difference is between calculated columns and the e.RIS calculation engine, and how you can perform simple arithmetic within your reports and create a separate column that shows the results of those calculations. So here we are again at the welcome screen, and I'll go into report design using the navigation bar. I'm going to close this one. And I'm going to create a new report called calculated columns demo. Click OK. And that brings us to a blank report design. So I'm just going to add a grid. Click on the grid. I'm going to leave these settings just as they are for now. I'm actually going to click add twice. That's going to add 2 columns to the grid. So for the first one, I'm just going to choose that airflow tag. We'll leave the sampling mode as average for now. I'm going to choose another tag that's similar. It's another airflow tag. And I'll leave that as average. And as always, it's important to hit the update button after you add those tags so you don't lose your work. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to click on the grid so you can see here's the 2 tags that I've added. And just to note, the order that the tags appear from top to bottom in your properties pane is the same order that they'll appear in your report from left to right. So this first tag here, that'll be our leftmost column, and then the next one will be just to the right of it. So now here is where the calculated columns come into play. To add a calculated column, you hit add calculation up there. And now I just want to take a second to talk about the concept behind this. It's a little confusing at first because here we have, in the report designer, we have this thing called a calculation, but also within e.RIS, when you go up here, you might already know that there's a whole section, a whole page devoted to calculations where you can do programming. You can get into some really complicated stuff if you want. We can do simpler stuff like converting units. So the key thing here that's important to note is that the calculated columns function in the report designer is completely independent of the calculations page. So it's easy at first to think that there might be some association between the two, but they're really 2 totally separate things, so don't let that confuse you. The big difference is with the calculated columns, it's really just about performing really simple arithmetic. It's a much simpler process than the calculation engine, but the trade-off is there's less functionality. But it can be a handy way if you just want to, say, add 10% to a value or something. Or in this case, what we'll do is we're going to take those first 2 columns and we're just going to add them together. And then the results, the sum of those 2 values, are going to have their own column in that third column there, the calculated column. So to do this, there's a specific syntax that you have to know to do this. So the way it works is you'll refer to the tags that are in your grid by their column number. So you remember the order that they're listed from top to bottom is the same as they'll appear from left to right. And they're just numbered, they just start at 1 and go up. So this first tag is going to be column 1, and this second tag is column 2. And the syntax for referring to those in a calculation is just quotation mark, COL 1 for column 1, and then so that refers to column 1, and then I'm just going to hit the plus sign and then do quotation mark col2 quotation mark for column 2. So that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. So unlike the calculation engine will store those results into a separate MySQL database. With this, it doesn't store the results anywhere. They just appear in your report when you go to the viewer. So I'm going to hit Update and click Save. And now when we go click on Reports and we select that report, Calculated Columns Demo, I'm just going to leave this date range as it is. Click Send. It'll take just a second to render that report. And there you have it. So you see we've got 4 columns in total. This first one shows the time. We're looking at hourly sampling intervals. So this second column is the hourly average for the one tag, and then this third column is the hourly average for the second tag. And then this last column on the right side, this is where the results of our calculation show up. So you can see that that column is the sum of those first 2 columns. And that's all there is to it. And with the calculated columns, you can do simple arithmetic, multiply, divide, add, subtract. You can also just use numbers. It doesn't have to be arithmetic operations between the results of those tag values. I could have just added 2 to each column, or I could multiply it by 3. So that's about all there is to it. So I hope this tutorial was helpful, and see you in the next one.